Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly, everyone. This week we break down that fantastic result against Columbus Crew this past weekend, and we preview Friday's matchup against that team from Florida. All that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. So guys, let's get into that 3-1 win against the Crew on Sunday at the Benz. That saw all three of our original DPs score, and it also left a lot of fans happy with the performance and the results. And especially seeing Tito and Miggy on the score sheet, I think is super important for their scoring form. Yeah, something that I've been clamoring to see.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially I think we saw the revenge that we needed against the Crew for that penalty shootout loss in the playoffs. But I think really anything more from this game, really all I ask for is maybe a clean sheet. So what do you think of the match?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think something that definitely should be noted is Columbus did not follow the traditional blueprint for teams playing when they come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They tried to play. They attacked Atlanta United. They had some very good chances to create some chances. They did score the one, which was actually a very good goal. Not the best defending, not the best positioning on our team's part, but very well taken by Giassi's artist that's rediscovered a scoring touch and is absolutely, filling his boots with goals for Columbus right now. But yeah, you had Josef tie the record with his longest goal he might have ever scored, almost at the edge of the box, left-footed curler as well. So, again, check something else off the box that he can do. I mean, he can do everything. Left foot, right foot, header, inside the box, outside the box, penalties, assists, which we'll get to in a second. I mean, this guy has everything. He played incredible. Tito with an absolutely incredible golazo, doing something that, he says he does in FIFA. I do it in FIFA. Yeah. You only do that in video games where you run by the whole team and then score.
Yeah, and the sweatiest goals are
yeah.
sometimes kind of the most fun, too.
Yeah, and then you have, Miggy finally getting back onto the score sheet, Josef being an incredibly unselfish player, getting that fusion going on, laying the ball off and Miggy caressing it in. It was a really, really satisfying win. For me, honestly, it was one of the best games I've seen as an Atlanta United fan, like in person at the stadium. I thought it was, skill on both sides, attacking intent, and it was Benz was rocking. It was just a great, team win, great game. Helped cheer me up because my day started off really, really crap because everyone knows I'm a Manchester United fan, and I was coming off of a Brighton result that had me pretty pissed. Thank God I have Atlanta United. Somebody can attack and knows where the goal is.
Right.
Thank God the 5 Stripes got a result, and goodness knows, not only did we need it, Miggy needed that performance, Tito needed that performance. Hopefully this can be a springboard for us going forward. Right.
At least the right United made you happy this weekend. But yeah, I mean, back to your point about teams that come in and play us. I think pound for pound, I think we showed that Columbus cannot compete with us if they're trying to actually play against us, because we just we just run them out of the park.
There's not many teams that can, to be
fair. And that's exactly why I think most teams come in and bunker against us, park that bus, and really just play 11 men behind the ball. But and there were some points that they did do that, but I mean this Columbus Crew team is well respected by Tito Martino, and he knows that, they're going to possess the ball a little bit more than a lot of other teams that come in as well. So I think we came in prepared for that as well. And there might be a slight formation change that we noticed that they kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone knows how much I bang on the drum with a 4-3-3, and I'm going to reserve some judgment because I want to see it played more, and the team did end up switching back more to the traditional 4-2-3-1 as the game went on. But at the very beginning of that game, Atlanta United took up a shape that was not usual to how they normally play. You had Remedi a little bit farther advanced. Usually when they play the holding midfield too, that second central midfielder is a little bit deeper. Miggy started up on the left and was moving into that 10 role that he normally takes up anyway, but it enabled the team to be a few more yards further forward. And because of that, they're able to press the ball much quicker, which is really how the first goal results, because you have Remedi stepping up, but you also have Gressel coming in. Remedi cuts the passing lane, and Gressel presses the ball and wins it. We're on the counter immediately. Columbus are on the back foot because it's only their back line versus Josef. And let's be honest, when there's that few people around, it's not really going to go well for anyone. And so I like to see us play that formation a little bit more going forward. I'm interested to see what Tata does. It's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to pressing because, again, you have another player higher up the pitch. I think it'll be an interesting option when Nagbe comes back into the team. And I think it worked well because Columbus tried to play.
Yeah,
I think it'll be interesting to see how that works against a team that bunkers and a team that sits deeper, which I think is why when Nagbe comes back in, he's probably going to be taking Remedi's spot only because he's going to give you a little bit more going forward that you might not get from Remedi, especially when teams are sitting deeper.
Yeah, possibly.
But I think, I think my only real negative, of this match would have to be that goal though. But, that aside, there's just so many positives that we took from this match. And we've been kind of ragging on Miggy over the last few weeks saying he hasn't been playing, his best football. And I think he had a very, very good game. Again, a result of a team giving him space. I mean, I think what you see, if a team gives Atlanta United time and space, I don't think there's anyone in the league that can match their speed, their talent, and their just overall just chemistry when it comes to playing quickly and playing on the break. And I think that's why they've been doing so well on the road, is because they get that time and that space. So thankfully Columbus gave it to us, and we walked out of that building with 3 points on Sunday.
Right. I mean, and looking at the other 2 goals, I mean, it is something that, they afforded us that time and space, especially because they were more of the counter variety. And so, the second goal, a little controversial, of course, the people at Extra Time Radio have something else to say about it. They thought it was a deliberate handball by Jeff Lorenowitz.
I'm just going to be honest, when listening to that, the idea that he moved his hand towards the ball is absolutely ridiculous.
Because the images say otherwise.
In the image you see, he's pulling his hand away from the ball. Yeah. He sees it coming towards him. He's pulling his hand back. He doesn't want it to hit it. So the idea that he moves his hand towards the ball, if he moved it towards the ball, it's because he was moving it away from the ball, if that makes any sense. And it just happened to hit him.
Right.
My thing about that is, had the ref given it a penalty, it would have been really hard for me to argue with the logic behind it being given as a penalty. That being said, I'm glad he didn't. And also, Toronto can eat a bag of dicks because they got the cheapest of penalties that I've seen so far this season with that push against Orlando. So, you get them, you get some, you lose some. They lost this one, and as you said, it led to Tito having a rather nice goal.
Yeah, and almost kind of a blind clearance by Lorenowitz, but it really worked out really, really well. And Tito was away, and I mean, I think Josef Martinez expected a pass probably at some point.
Can you blame him?
Yeah, and Tito was like, nope, I'm taking this all by myself, and prompted just beat 3 guys and beat the keeper. Bottom right corner. It's and then the celebration, my favorite part. I mean, he just recreated what he just did with the mazy run. Yeah, I mean, so good. Probably the best solo goal of Atlanta United's short span. So
that's a tough shout though, because at the same time you have Miggy's goal against that opponent we're playing this weekend. Last time we saw him at the Benz, where he shrugs off everyone and then nutmegs the keeper. That wasn't too bad either. That being said, I don't think he ran nearly as far or beat nearly as many people as what Tito did on this goal. Which honestly is really nice to see, because a number of times Tito has embarrassed someone and hasn't had like an end product, whether that be because he couldn't get a cross off, or the person couldn't convert the pass, or the shot wouldn't go in. I mean, Tito has a knack for scoring the spectacular.
Yeah.
When he does score, it's usually a very tasty goal. See Orlando last season, see Montreal, see this one. I mean, he scores good goals. I mean, see the team goal against Philly. Obviously, that's a product of the whole thing, but usually when Tito scores, it's because something incredible has happened.
Right, and it's also an important goal because it put us up, and something that we really needed, because we had just conceded and we really needed that momentum shift, and this was something that was, it shifted the entire favor. And I think with Miggy's insurance goal,
which is a direct result of United getting that second goal, because Atlanta United get that second goal, get the lead, it forces Columbus to still try to play, because they did bunker a little bit. They were trying to be a bit more compact, but when you get that second goal, it forces them to come out, and when they came out, again, Tito down the right, fantastic ball in to Josef, who has, the wherewithal to see Miggy's coming in, and it's a better shot for him, lays it off, and, obviously Zach Steffen's a little bit unsighted because there's a defender right in his way, but still, a great finish from Miggy, and you could really see how much it meant to him to get that goal. Just the relief on his face, just getting rid of all of that, just saying, thank goodness, I found it again. Hopefully that can kick him on to getting back into that goal-scoring form. And some people, there were some articles afterwards that came out saying, we don't need Miggy to score. Even Tata said, we don't need Miggy to score. I think when Miggy is scoring, the team has a higher chance of winning. When he's scoring, Josef's going to have more space. Tito's going to have more space, and teams have no idea who the hell to mark when Miggy is putting shots on target, because who are you going to close down? You're going to close Miggy down and leave potential for Josef to be played in, similar to see a Dallas goal against FC Dallas this past year, where they step on Miggy and he immediately plays it in to Josef. I mean, you're going to close both him and Josef down and leave a Tito with some space or a Barco with some space now that he's back into the side.
Yeah.
I mean,
pick your poison, really.
Pick your poison. When he's firing and when he's on form, it just gives an entirely different dynamic to the Atlanta United attack, and it's just really difficult as a team to defend when you have no idea where the ball's going to come from.
Yeah, and I think this goal kind of suits what he was really effective at last year, because it was more of like a third man run, and so you know, the players up top are being marked more so, and then you know, have a person trailing, and then, you know, just completely open in space. That's exactly, you know, how Miggy should want to score, and, you know, the more of the runs that he should make. So, I mean, you know, I think that's maybe been his problem a little bit, is that he's been in the box and he's been marked very, very tightly. He doesn't really have that you know, clinical prowess to be able to shoot in traffic like that. But
he needs those open space. I mean, that's how which, you know, might be difficult to get, and depending on where he moves later on. But the performance he put in on Sunday was the type of performance he needs to continue to replicate if he wants to get that dream move to one of those top European sides.
Yeah, but and to Tito Martino's point is that, yeah, I mean, you know, he does offer so much in every other facet of the game that, you know, you don't really need his goals. You really need everything that he does. You know, the tracking back, the interceptions, the you know, carrying the ball, the passes, the, you know, just the legwork that he does throughout every single match. I mean, that's you know, why you have him. And I think that's you know, to Martino's point is, yeah, I mean, you know, when he scores, yes, it's happy days. So, you know, with this, you know, we were talking about the conceded goal, of course, though, is something that, you know, maybe is symptomatic in a 4-3-3, and, you know, it leaves the middle a little susceptible to just a really simple ball into the middle where, you know, if the striker finds any space, he can turn, and boy did, you know, he was able to turn and score from distance.
Loads of time. I mean, it was a great shot. I mean, he had everything to aim for. It was a tough angle for Guzan to do anything about. But yeah, in this particular situation, you have Jeff Larentowicz, who unfortunately, both him, Miguel Almiron, and Eric Remedi are out of position. Remedi is the farthest advanced forward. He's the guy pressing the ball. Unfortunately, you have both Miggy and Larry in space where they're not really marking anyone, and it gives the ability to play an easy, simple ball straight through the middle of midfield, which ideally in a 4-3-3, you only have that single pivot sitting there in that spot. When everyone's where they're supposed to be and they're organized, that ball is intercepted by Jeff Larentowicz. It's never on. Unfortunately, they won the ball back quickly. They played that ball. We were out of position. It's frustrating. It happens, but at the same time, it's like those are the risks you're going to run sometimes. But, you know, that's why I think as the game shifted, Atlanta switched a little bit more to their traditional 4-2-3-1. Remedi dropped a little bit deeper. They were more compact in the middle of the park. And you had, you know, Miggy kind of occupying that middle space. But, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating that they did concede that goal. Then again, it's this Columbus team that they beat New York on the road. They're a really, really solid team. So they're going to get a goal, especially José Artis has won on 15 goals this season, which any other season, he'd be probably in the running for the Golden Boot. Unfortunately for him, Josef Martinez is in Major League Soccer, so you're about 12 goals behind. Exactly.
But yeah, and so we also saw the return of Ezequiel Barco, which you know, to you know, the hiatus, if you will, that Tata Martino put him on and the team put him on. You know, it was definitely a question of when is he going to come in. It was definitely a surprise that he was in the 18, and I think it was great because for him to come in, he was able to control the possession in a period of the match that we actually needed him to, which is why he was brought on for that. And yeah, I mean, you know, taking Tito off, it's like, you know, very interesting part of, you know, when Tito came off, very funny, of course, though. He took as much time as possible.
Good. Yeah. He deserved his yellow, but absolutely, he went 100%. I'm glad they got the yellow. He doesn't get booked very often, so I don't really care. And
it's those dark arts that
time waste. It's fine because everyone else does it all the time,
especially
every single game.
For sure.
Which is why I was a bit annoyed that Guzan got booked for the yellow. I
sure.
understand why, but it's like opposing keepers take like 30 seconds every single time, especially early in the game, and refs never do anything about it. But I digress though. To get back to Barco, I think it was good to see him come on as a sub, be in the 18. I think that's going to be where he's at for a little while.
Right.
I think he's going to be, which I think is fine because there's no one right now, in my opinion, that deserves to get dropped. You're not going to drop Tito. He's playing well. He's coming into form. You're not going to drop Gressel because, let's be honest, he's probably had the second best season overall on this team behind Josef. I mean, so I think he needs to earn his way back in, come on as a sub, do some things, and then it gives you that, he gets back up to his full match fitness, and it just gives you another option moving into the end of the season, moving towards the playoffs where, okay, well, who starts, who doesn't? You have an embarrassment of riches, especially when Nagby gets fit again. You're able to pick who you want based upon the opposition you're playing, and each player offers something different, which, again, just goes to the incredible quality that Atlanta United have top to bottom when everyone's fit.
Right, it's something that on the Barco situation that Darren Eales spoke on 92.9 The Game. He said, he's a young kid, everyone makes mistakes, and it's how you handle those mistakes which shows your character. We've dealt with it internally, and that's the way we handle these types of issues. And that's something that, is something that's very important going forward, is how this whole very delicate thing is handled. And I think so far it's been as much as possible handled to a very good degree, because the nitty-gritty details have not really completely come out, and that's good. I think that's although some of the stuff is really public, and everybody's still kind of ragging on specific players. I think we need to lay off of that, because it's kind of going to psychologically impact these players to that degree. I think we, as our fan base, need to lay off our players, and if there's opposing fan bases, then so be it. But I think at least we need to take
I'm
care
not
of our own.
really. I agree with you 100%. I don't think we need to be, especially considering most of the details aren't fully out of the public. What is out there, it's been out there. The people who make the decisions have made their decisions. Tata and the rest of the front office feels that it's time for him to come back into the squad. We'll see how he integrates. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he plays well. We want him to play well. If he plays well, that means we're doing well.
Right.
But I don't think that, going on social media and making, negative comments towards any of the players involved or any of the people involved with those players is going to help anyone. There are other fan bases that do that. We don't want to be like them. Those players then leave and they don't like it. We don't want to have that negative, stigma and reputation about our fan base and about our club. It doesn't help us. If anything, we should give these guys a second chance, forgive them, let them come back and play football, which is what they're here to do in the first place, and win games. And if Tata and everyone feels that it's time, we should trust in their opinions, because they're the ones that spend time with these players every single day. So I trust them when they say, all right, he's ready to come back in, he's made a mistake, let's see what he does. I'm all about it. I'm 100% behind him, and I hope the kid does well.
Yeah. And here's another quote that I think we have to add in here, because it's just unfiltered Josef Martinez, which is I think is the best Josef Martinez. And so he was talking about Miguel Almiron's goal and how it was kind of a weight off of his shoulders. He said, "I know how much Miguel Almiron has suffered. I always tell him, quote, don't force it, stay relaxed. It's like making love to your wife. You do it with love. Scoring goals takes a little love." Man, I love this quote, because it's everything that Josef Martinez is. It's just, you don't expect him to say this type of stuff, and man, it's appropriate though, because it's appropriate in an inappropriate way. Yes, that's how you score goals to his prowess. Yeah, I mean, clearly, he does it with a lot of love. So.
I absolutely love Josef Martinez and everything about him. He is by far my favorite player on this team. I have no idea how he managed to somehow get this guy, and no one have any idea about him. He's, in my opinion, turned into the best player in Major League Soccer. I hope to God he breaks the record on Friday. That would be just absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, especially against the that team. So,
yeah, I mean, he's just what a player. I mean, what a player. There's nothing about the guy that you can't dislike. I mean, even recently, he was talking about how even when he goes home to Venezuela, he misses Atlanta. I mean, he loves this city. I think it's not just me. We all love Josef Martinez. He loves it here. I mean, I'm just hoping he spends the rest of his career here and just keeps filling his boots with goals and puts some number on the MLS all-time goal-scoring chart that everyone's like, Yeah, it's not getting broken.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, if he stays here and keeps playing the way that he is, he's absolutely going to do that.
It could be one of those things where, you know, like in the arcade, where on the top of, you know, the name list, it's all just Josef Martinez, Josef Martinez, Josef Martinez. Exactly. That'd be wonderful if he stayed here and just broke record after record.
And if he keeps scoring goals like that, there is no way that we're not winning a trophy at some point in time when you have a guy like that. I agree. Goodness gracious me.
Now, you know, last order of business for this match, I think, is naming our man of the match, which is pretty difficult, actually. But
not for me. Josef, done.
Yeah.
John, Josef Martinez. Now, that being said, some people wanted Miguel Almiron, and I totally understand that. He had one of his best games, if not his best game, in a very, very long time. That being said, Josef Martinez had a hand in every single goal as far as I'm concerned. He scores the first one. The defender looks back at him to find him on the second one and then realizes, oh crap, I have to pick up Tito, but they're constantly aware of his presence. The third one, completely unselfish. He could have taken it on. I don't think anyone would have blamed him if he took it on himself. Lays it off and lets Miggy score, shows the love to his teammates, everything about what that guy does. If he scores, gets an assist, he's my man of the match because what else can I ask from that guy?
It's true, and especially when he, you know, ties the Major League Soccer single season scoring record. I mean, you know,
with 9 games left.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. Pretty much tells the tale itself. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. Although, yeah, I mean, Miguel Almiron definitely has a shout. Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's Josef Martinez, and it's rightfully so. So,
man, what a difficult decision. We're really spoiled. I mean,
exactly.
Come on.
Yeah.
Who had a better game? The best player in the league or the second best player in the league?
Right.
Which one is which? I don't know. It depends on the day.
It's true.
I mean, goodness gracious.
Very true. Very true. And you know, his teammates definitely they think that he's having his best ever season, maybe best ever individual season in MLS. Which Michael Parker said. That's very high praise because Michael Parker has been in this league for a very long time. Yeah, I mean that's huge. I mean, you know, just
if he hadn't been injured last season, he'd already be at 60 goals.
Yeah, it's
in 2 seasons.
Very well could be true.
Let's be realistic. He would have been at 60 goals already. Like that's incredible.
Especially, yeah. I mean, this is indicative of, like, you know, this is his first full season, and he's absolutely destroying the league. And so, you know, really. I think we're looking for that arcade, you know, name.
35. I want him to get 35.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I said it a few months ago, and when I said it, I was like, that was crazy. And now I'm just like, that could totally happen.
Because it very well could. I mean, it very well could. And, yeah, I mean, we are, you know, the math kind of says that maybe it's in the cards. Especially, yes, he is going on international duty with Venezuela in the kind of early middle part of September, and but apparently he might not miss any games, so it actually kind of probably bodes well. Although I expect probably the 2 games that he's coming back in, that he'll probably be subbed out, so he won't have as many minutes. But if he plays both of those games in Venezuela or for Venezuela, then yeah, I think he's not playing, you know, 90 minutes for the 2 games after that. So, yeah, we'll move into the news, guys, and you know, we have to congratulate LGP on having his first child. You know, at first it was initially going to be possibly maybe this weekend during the Orlando City match or roundabout, and that might have been problematic, but you know, you would have understood. Yeah, I mean, he wanted to be there for the birth of his child, but we're recording this on a Tuesday, and thankfully he had it on.
His wife had the child.
Yeah, they had it, and yeah, so it bodes well for the weekend. Of course, he won't be there for like the initial stuff with the baby for a lot of it, but I mean, it's at least you know.
I wonder if you got any advice from Josef about that.
Yeah, right. That would have been, you know, his aunt apparently is pregnant, and that's what the celebration is for. But in terms of, yeah, like any other stuff like that, I don't think he has the experience for that. But yeah, you know, you never know. Like maybe Josef Martinez is, you know, baby
just
daddy.
All around, just a fantastic individual.
Yeah. But you know, our next piece of news is that you know, the attendance was actually pretty high for all around MLS this past, you know, weekend and past week, as well as DC played a game in the midweek as well. and they had some pretty high attendance, which is pretty good. Still, the combo of that is not more than our 45,000. So
combined for around 38
yeah.
for 2 games. We
So
had 45,
yep,
and
exactly.
Seattle came close. They
Yeah.
had 44, and they watched a game in which one team showed up, and the other team, I guess,
Exactly.
never got off the plane from Los Angeles because the Galaxy were terrible.
Yeah, no, absolutely they were, and it's you know, I think we all you guys kind of know about our thoughts about Seattle and you know their playing ability and maybe their.
To be fair, they're on a run right now, and they're
Yeah.
improving, and I think
For
they're
sure.
very much going to make the playoffs in the West, and they'll be tricky opposition for whoever comes up against them.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be funny if they drew LA Galaxy because they'd be without Zlatan for one game because Zlatan doesn't do turf. So
True.
that would suck for them, but at the same time, I don't really care.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the other piece of news is that Soccer in the Streets is they're opening 2 new fields in the West End and at the West End MARTA station, and they look really, really good as you can see in these renderings. They they look super clean, and especially with the the train rolling by. Oh man, that's pretty nice, and especially in the West End. If you're not familiar with Atlanta, it's not exactly the best of areas, but I think this would be a good start into building a nice community in that area, and I think it's all the better for it.
Yeah, I mean,
what
what
we
up
need.
with Jessica and everyone else who works with Soccer in the
Absolutely.
Streets? I mean, it's an incredible program. There's actually a comment on our video last week, we talked about it as well, where someone was suggesting, there's other places that aren't just MARTA stations, and that they had a really, really good point. And I think that, we're at the beginning of a real movement, in my opinion, when it comes to soccer. There was a great article put out by Bleacher Report this past week about the culture, and especially in black neighborhoods here in Atlanta, and how much soccer has grown to be a major part of that culture. And there's so many different neighborhoods, cultures, areas of Atlanta. And, Soccer in the Streets, I think, has really got onto something by providing a lot of these lower income areas, especially places to play, because soccer it's a working class sport, if we're going to be honest. The best players in the world have come from the barrios, they've come from the favelas, they've come from the small working class, gritty parts of cities, because they don't even need a ball. They put together a ball, put 2 shoes and whatever. Here, it's easy. We're providing fields for these kids. We're providing places for them to go and play. And with, let's be honest, American football is suffering with CTE and all these other issues they have with it. More and more people are playing soccer. And Atlanta United is a big part of that, especially here, because everyone's like, wow, I can play in front of that many people. And I think that we're ahead of the game a little bit. And I think there'll be more and more fields popping up everywhere. Soccer has always been important, but if you can get a 5-a-side pitch here, there, in neighborhoods, at all the MARTA stations, doing this, more people have access to it, and it's easy to just go with your friends, pick up and play 5-a-side. And the fact that that's something that's here, and the 5 Points MARTA station was the first, if you didn't know, the first, soccer pitch or 5-a-side pitch inside of a transit hub in the world. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And again, just a round of applause to Jessica and everyone over at Soccer in the Streets. They're doing an amazing job, and hopefully we continue to see it expand throughout the whole city so that everyone can experience the beautiful game. And that can only mean good things for Atlanta United, because the more people playing it, the more people and scouts we have out there looking for those talents. They're going to come into the academy. They're going to put on the 5 stripes. They're going to go to MBS. And we're going to have one hell of a team in a few years. That's all I'm going to say for that.
Yeah, it just bodes well in community-wise and just building through to the top. So
Hell, have a Team USA in 10, 15 years could be all people from Atlanta. I'd watch them a little bit more then.
Absolutely, no, that would be a thing, man. Holy crap! If that happened, man, wow. And so another thing that is sort of related to all that is that so there are tickets on sale for the Home Depot backyard now for the September 22nd Real Salt Lake match, which you have to be 21 and over, but yeah, I mean, to get the kind of first glimpse with tailgating in that tailgating space.
It's beautiful.
think,
It's
yeah.
going to be incredible. I
It'll be
cannot
fun.
wait to see what it looks like when it's fully finished. It's really close now. You can look over it. You know, when you're going in through gate 2, it looks epic. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really doing a lot, and
Yeah,
apparently
that
there's going to be
silver
some
soccer
renovations coming to the Gulch in the future as
Yes.
well. So doing a whole lot to make that area really, really nice.
Right.
And honestly, that's just exciting. It really
Yeah.
is. I mean, a whole little soccer mecca right there.
Oh, for
Part of
sure.
me thinks they're probably preparing for that 2026 World Cup, possible
Definitely.
semifinals, make it really, really nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed. Now on to the injury report. AJC reported that Darlington Nagbe and Greg Garza were running, which is really, really good news in that, you know, they are progressing along in their injuries, but you know, I think they are still on their timetable and they need to be afforded that time. I don't think we need to be clamoring for them to come back, you know, earlier than they should. But you know, it's good positive signs that they are running and they are able to, you know, get that movement within, you know, the respective injuries that they have. So
and it seems like Nagbe's closer to probably the end of September-ish,
yes,
but
yeah.
Garza's still probably going to be a bit more of a push towards the playoffs when that time comes around. Both of them are, you know, in my opinion, kind of ahead of where their timetable is. Garza, especially. I mean, he had a pretty hefty, you know,
that shoulder. Yeah, exactly. Is I mean, and
you don't need to rush them back, though. You know,
exactly.
with the team, obviously, you'd love to have Garza back just for fullback depth, but no need to rush these guys. They're going to be important, and you know, I think we're doing all right now, all things considered.
Yeah, and hopefully the rest of our players' health continues, so that, you know, like we're not pressed to actually have to do any of that. But another injury that may impact our midfield. In terms of, you know, the options going forward, Chris Goslin, the homegrown player, he might have potentially picked up a serious injury, and this is from Joe Patrick of Dirty South Soccer that reported this. And we are unsure of how bad it is at the moment, and so we'll find out in the coming days when Atlanta United make it official. But I mean, that's, you know, for at least Atlanta United too. I mean, maybe he hadn't been playing as much, but at least in that sense, you know, he was at least depth there, and so that, you know, it's Atlanta United 2 is not exactly the, you know, dripping with all that depth anyway, so it's not exactly the best news, but hopefully he, you know, that injury is not too serious. But you know, moving on into Atlanta United 2, they still have not played that FC Cincinnati match. But, you know, it will be on that Wednesday night, which is a tough test. And, you know, they'll see where their bar is, you know, going against FC Cincinnati when they play them. But, yeah, and they also signed a new defender, Tyler Ruthven. And I think that's something that they, you know, speaking to that lack of depth, it could be a move so that it frees up maybe Miles Robinson for more first team action, and maybe, you know, some of the other players, some of the other defenders that you know, we may need from time to time.
And guys, it was a very productive weekend because not only did the Five Stripes pick up 3 points, but Red Bull and NYCFC dropped points. NYCFC got beat by Philadelphia, and Red Bull unfortunately got a last gasp winner in Vancouver. That was really frustrating. I would have rather them lose because, let's be honest, who wouldn't? Atlanta United back in first place now. However, Red Bull do have a game in hand. If they win that game, they will have more wins, which will put them into first place. Really, it looks like these two teams are on a crash course to that showdown in Red Bull Arena in a few weeks' time. That's going to be the decider, basically, in my opinion, on who wins the Supporters' Shield and who wins the East. It's getting really interesting. NYCFC, still there, though. They're 4 points back. Dangerous team. In the West, on the whole, in the Supporters' Shield standings, looks like whoever wins the East is probably going to be that team that pulls away. Dallas is still there, but they don't have the goal difference as much as, you know, a Red Bull or an Atlanta United. Portland still have some games in hand, but they've not been so great over their last couple games. Aside from that, Sporting KC is there, but in my opinion, I don't think they're really going to be threatening for that. What's really interesting when it comes to our points, though, Atlanta United are on 51 points. If you remember, last season, we finished the season with 55, which puts us 4 points off our total points haul from last year. We've still got 9 matches to play. I think progress is definitely happening, and you can see how much this team has improved from year 1 to year 2.
And guys, that moves us into our mailbag questions, in which you guys send in your questions to our Instagram story. And guys, keep sending those in because your question may be answered on this show. And so the first question comes from Instagram from Nichols at Night, and it says, have we found the lineup to carry us through the end of the season with Barco / Nagbe as super subs? Now, I don't really think Nagbe is really too much of a super sub per se for me. I mean, for me, his type of play is more conducive to starting because he's not necessarily going to add a ton of goals and assists. Yes, he's going to give you a good final ball, and he's going to control the possession, but in terms of that, I think he's a guy that, I think you start him and then you can maybe take him off for Eric Remedi, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think that's going to be your situation, especially when he gets back, because he just gives you so much more going forward. And Remedi is the perfect guy to bring on 65 minutes or later. I'd like to see him around that time frame, to be perfectly honest, where you're really trying to kill the game off and just, slow the play down, need someone to break up attacks and control it. And I think that's something that he does very, very, very well. I would kind of agree, though, as to right now, until everyone gets back, this is probably the best lineup they have. I think that obviously you do have Barco coming in, but I think he needs to earn that spot, and I think coming off the bench will do him some good, and it really gives you a lot of quality coming off the bench, which we haven't really had a lot of recently, unfortunately. So he gives you something completely different, and teams are been run ragged by either an Almiron or a Tito or something, and then they have to deal with Barco coming on. It's like, great, awesome.
Especially, he's gonna, just run at you in your box. I mean, hopefully he does a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, that's something that, especially against an NYCFC early on in the season, that was terrifying for them. They were backpedaling a lot for sure. So that's something that, I think if he comes on as a super sub, great. So
but the lineup we have right now, I think, is the best that we have at this current point in time, and I think that's the 11 you're going to see lining up against Orlando come Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Next question comes from Carlos Saceda 91 on Instagram. He asked, do you believe Barco will start in Almiron's position if Almiron does decide to go to Europe?
That's a very interesting question. I think that the two of them play very, very different styles of game. Barco isn't going to do as much running as Miguel Almiron is. He's not as quick. He's not going to be tracking back as much as Miguel Almiron is. I think he gives you a different option if you play him in that 10 role, we'll call it. He's comfortable in that role, and I think he could do well in that role, but it gives you just a little bit of a different style of play if he's in that role. We're not sure when Miggy will leave. I think we all think and expect that he will at some point in time. I don't know who plays that role. If the formation does change to a 4-3-3, then he wouldn't be filling that role. I think you'd see Nagbe, Remedi, and Larinowitz in midfield, and you'd still see Barco on the left-hand side. So it really just depends on the shape that Tito Martino wants to go with and how he feels. But I think he could play, but he's just a different player altogether. So he could play it. If that doesn't answer your question, well, he could play it, but they're just very different styles of player.
Definitely. Next question comes from Nick Muchow07 on Instagram. He asks, could y'all explain how the sell-on fees work with the different types of players? I understand that the club receives 100% of the profit for homegrowns, but how does that differ for DPs, etc.? You passed a whale of a question.
This is a question that is not easily answered very quickly. To make it as simple as we can, there's actually a different set of rules for homegrown players, designated players, Generation Adidas players like, say, a Miles Robinson, and then also your regular run-of-the-mill players like, say, a Leandro Gonzalez-Perez. All of them have different things that happen. With the homegrown, you get 100% of it back. That is a recent rule change, so if Andrew Carlson comes on and starts banging in goals right, left, and center, and some team in Europe wants him for $15 million, Atlanta United gets all of that money. For Miguel Almiron or a designated player, things are a little bit different. You get back what you paid for them, so in Miguel Almiron's case, it's $8-9 million. Atlanta United will be guaranteed to get that back. Then the team receives 2/3 of whatever the remaining fee is. The league will take 1/3 of that, and your team gets the rest of that money and can invest up to $650,000 of that into general allocation money, essentially increasing your wage bill by $650,000. Aside from that, it can get really complex and really convoluted. You also have to think of sell-on clauses that you have with the teams that you sign the player from. So with the Barco, I'm not exactly sure what the final number is, but there is a sell-on clause that fee will go back to that club. So things get really convoluted and complicated. Now, if you want to read more about it, there's actually a great article written by Seattle Football for Dirty South Soccer that you can go and look up. Just Google in transfers, and actually it's one of the first ones that comes up. It is a fantastic article and gets into all the nitty-gritty details about every single one of those different types of transfers, and that is definitely a resource I would say you should look up.
And guys, that gets us into our match preview against that team from Florida, and it's Friday, 8 p.m. at Orlando City Stadium. And guys, our previous matchup, we completely blew them out of the water 4-0, and it's something that I hope we can do again. And it very well could be possible. But
that was a game in which Josef, Miggy, and Barco all found themselves on the score sheet, and Miggy's goal was rather good.
Oh, yes.
He made everyone look silly. Shrugged off one guy, I believe it was Spectre, and then Nutmeg Bendick was not a great look and capped off a fantastic performance with the 5 strikes.
For sure. And I think this is a game that we can put that death knell into their season. And, I mean, they haven't had a great past couple of games. They had that infamous 3-2 at the death loss against Wayne Rooney and DC United.
Somehow they let the shortest guy in like all of Major League Soccer win a header. I mean, Acosta, as much as I hate the guy because he owned Atlanta United last season, the dude's like 5'3", and you somehow let him win a header at the back post.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Everything
Incredible
about
scenes.
that made no sense. First off, DC set up their keeper when they were drawing 2-2. Yeah. I have no idea why. Then somehow Wayne Rooney is the last guy, makes an incredible tackle and just says,
Will Johnson,
which was fantastic, by the way, and then just says F it and just launches a long ball into the box, which some might say it's a cultured hoik. But he puts it in there, and Acosta gets the header, and Orlando lose, which makes me happy. Funny little anecdote about that, and I think I may have mentioned it last week, is I was in a bar in D.C. I sat down to watch Manchester United play Leicester. Got on my right, Orlando City fan there for the match. Got on my left, DC United fan. That was kind of funny. But we were all Manchester United fans that day, so we were happy for 90 minutes, unlike this past weekend. But I'm not going to talk about that because it makes me sad.
Yeah, and they also they played New England Revolution at home to a 3-3 draw the previous week before that. So they're not on a good run of form. They actually are on a terrible run of form that they've only picked up 4 points since they actually played us last. So
yeah, they had that really long losing streak that was pretty awful, and not a lot's going great for them right now.
Exactly. They sit 10th in the Eastern Conference standings, and they are in danger of really dropping to the bottom, and I hope they do. I mean, it's really
Chicago's playing really bad themselves though. So
they are. So it's
not helping out. There's something between those two teams. It's who's going to be worse.
Exactly, and yeah, I think unfortunately, it may actually beat Chicago Fire, but I mean, hopefully this coming match from us, puts something into their season.
They've had a really, anything, and I'm not defending them whatsoever. They've had a very stop-start season, changing their coach.
Sure.
A lot of injuries. Just nothing really has gone right for them at all this season.
Yeah.
I think this might be their real last game that they care about because we know that they want to beat Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It is to
make a playoff push,
rivalry or something like that or the other.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy for them. No. I mean, they have 2 of their better players and possibly one of their best players suspended for this game, both Yotun and I believe it's, how do you pronounce his name? I'm going to be honest, I'm terrible at it.
Yeah,
Higuita, I believe.
Oh,
Higuita?
Christian Higuita.
Higuita. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Yeah. Those 2 guys, they're going to miss Yotun for sure.
For sure.
I mean, lineup-wise, though, I think we're going to look the same as we did this past week.
I think so.
I don't think there's going to see a lot of changes, but this really is a chance for us to not only, in my opinion, squash anything about this being a rivalry, because if Atlanta United win again and win handily, there's not much really to say there. And even, speaking with the Orlando fan that I was talking to, he's very interested in Miami even coming off the ground at some point in time, because that's much more of a natural rivalry for them. It's a lot closer. It's only 3.5, 4 hours, kind of similar to what will be with Nashville when Nashville come into the league. I think they're really looking forward to that. I think they're looking forward to hating that franchise because it'll be modeled very much like Atlanta United.
For sure.
By the way, have you seen the potential leak for the Miami badge?
Yeah, indeed.
That is really clean.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting team name that honestly I'm a fan of because it really shows that like Miami culture, that passion, that Latino side of things, which makes me happy to give a new kind of vibe to the league. But to digress,
and it was like an egret as well as that type of bird and that type of light pink and black thing.
Kind of like a Miami Vice-ish type look.
I kind of like it.
I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. I'm hopefully they come into the league because I would actually want to go to a game in Miami.
Absolutely.
I have no desire to go to a game in Orlando. That being said, I think again, 5 Stripes can bury their season, put that nail in that coffin, and end it. Prediction-wise, I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. I think that Atlanta United needs to go out there, press them hard, press them from the get-go, do not let up, put that pedal to their throat, and I think that we can beat them 3-0.
Well, okay. Yeah, no, that's... I hope that's the case. I think I think 2-0 for me. Just a little less, you know, because I think they will, you know, try to really get after us to try to score a goal. But I think after that first goal, they're just gonna bunker down. They're gonna try to, you know, really not concede anything.
I mean, they did ship 3 in their last home game, so it's not exactly they have the tightest of defenses, and they're going against the best attack in the league with players finding form in both Tito. We know what he does when he's feeling himself in Orlando, and Miggy. It's not the best of looks. That being said, I mean, it is a rivalry game. It is dangerous, so they're going to be ready. They're going to be up for it. The fans probably will throw cups or something again. Who knows? I don't know, but I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling 3-0. And it's funny, that's actually a perfect segue for me into our question of the day, which I think is going to be a resounding yes. But my question is, does Josef Martinez break the MLS goal scoring record this weekend? And if he does, how many goals does he score? Because I think he's going to get at least 2.
Ooh,
I think he breaks it, and I think he throws in one more just to say, yeah, I own you guys. Because let's be honest, he scores lots of goals against Orlando.
He does, yeah. Actually, probably, yeah. I mean, it's a competition between he and Tito, so it's wow. I mean, you know, if he does, he might be you know, a thing where he can say he's you know, he's their daddy. So
yeah, well, he's good at making advice, and hopefully he caresses sweet goals into the net against Orlando this weekend.
Indeed. And so, you know, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But, guys, that's it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. Remember to smash a like and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.